and I'll touch on what you were talking about here in a sec. But to give everybody the quick synopsis for childrens who aren't as aware, Total Recall. Every now and then, a movie comes along, something happens where it should have no right to be as good as it is, and but it is really good. And Total Recall, for at least for me, was one of those movies that on its face it seems stupid, and honestly some parts of it actually are really stupid, but as a whole, it's one of the better films that I can remember from growing up. And so to give you guys a quick synopsis, Total Recall's about Douglas Quaid, who's haunted by a recurring dream about a journey to Mars. He hopes to find out more about this dream and buys a holiday to Recall Inc., where they sell implanted memories. But something goes wrong with the memory implementation, and he remembers being a secret agent fighting against the evil Mars administration, Cohagen. Now the story really begins, and it's a roller coaster ride until the massive end of the movie. And so, yeah, for me, this film was so memorable in so many ways, and the reason why we're talking about it now, of course, just like I think you mentioned, Arania, is that it's actually turning 30. So on June 1st, 1990, this film came out, and of course, we just passed June 1st, 2020, and so it's crazy, man, to think about that first aspect of it. That fuck, it's 30 years old. It's been 30
Yeah.
years since Total Recall first came out. That's an entire grown ass adult human being that
Yeah.
that has been
I'm
through some
30.
shit. Yeah. That's it's an insane to sort of think about it that way. And then you look at like how far that films have come since then, and you take a look at some of the things, not only just like the themes of this film, but also just like the visual effects and things like that. You look at how far films have come since then, just in 30 years, and how quickly it all sort of goes by. It's fucking amazing, man. How fast time flies. But the interesting thing about this film is that it of course, just like you were talking about, deals with the idea of memories, and that a corporation can sort of try to control your memories. And even though we're not, this article from IndieWire, it goes into detail about this specific aspect of it. We're not like, you know, corporations aren't like in your brain trying to fucking get your memories, although I don't pass it by them, to try to do that at some point in the near
It's
future.
around the corner.
Yeah. But what they are doing is, we have social media, right? That in a way acts as sort of like a memory bank. And corporations like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they all sort of act as sort of like capsules for our memories, right? And they can control narratives of how you sort of remember things playing out. Like, so for instance, if you want to create a narrative about whatever your life is, you can create that on IG, you can create that on Twitter, you can create that on Facebook. And for all intent and purposes, that appears to be, and then, sooner or later, if you try to remember back to 10, 15 years, right, and you look back at some of these pictures, you might not remember all the things surrounding it, but you do remember that curated thing that you put out to the world, right? Like, you might not remember,
Yeah.
oh, in this particular time so and so happened and it was a clusterfuck, but you do see that picture that's like, oh, I was smiling, so I must have been happy, or shit like that. So in a way, they actually are kind of controlling our memories, to some degree. And then also companies, they're controlling our reality through data, right? So the shit that we see online is controlled by like Google, right? Algorithms that say, "Oh, you search for this, so therefore I'm going to show you that," or advertising. That's how all this shit works out. So this movie, Total Recall, while not like 100% on the nose in terms of what we'd be dealing with, today, it certainly lends itself to the idea of memories, and how corporations relate to it, and how we relate to corporations as far as memories go. It's all very fucking interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, and this has only been 30 years, right? So like imagine like in another like 5 to 10 years, like will we be closer to this to where you can actually store like real memories in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like you store them digitally, you store like maybe like transcripts of your memories, like like little like text transcripts of it. I think we'll be closer to that. I wouldn't be surprised if, or situations where people who have like memory loss, they're able to somehow go to a place and sit inside some crazy fucking machine and it'll help them remember, like people with Alzheimer's or people who are just like aging and memory starts to deteriorate. It'll be really interesting. I think we'll probably be closer to it in like another 5 years or
Mm.
10 years, maybe even 5,
Mm. Yeah.
which is kind of scary.
That is scary. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Or maybe like to help you forget, right? People who've like dealt with trauma. Like what if there was a way to help you like to just like remove and delete certain memories?
Do you think that should happen?
Um, I don't know. I think it's very dangerous, right? Because it's like for people who have suffered some type of like trauma, it might be the quality of their life could become better if they were not necessarily having to have to like deal with those past memories, but if they could just like forget it or remove it or delete it altogether, right? Unless they wanted to for some reason access it. But things like those will obviously be taken advantage of, where like let's say some dirty, you saw some dirty politician doing something, and then now they're gonna kidnap you and delete your memories.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah,
of course,
that's literally the plot of Total Recall.
yeah. So I mean, of course, like there are ways to abuse it, and I think whenever there's like a way to abuse something that puts like the greater society at risk, I don't think that step is necessary. Like artificial, I like robots. I don't know if artificial intelligence is like the best idea. We've seen enough movies to tell us it's not.
But I mean, yeah, yes and no, right? But like we're already dealing with artificial intelligence in a very sort of like major way. If you look at like how systems are run, right? Like, so for instance, like, um, and I'm going to sound tragically stupid because I definitely am not smart about
Yeah.
any of this stuff, but I proceed. If you look at like how our systems are already built in terms of how much of it is like out of our hands, right? Uh, like trafficking, right? Like most of those systems are kind of like automated systems. They're not really being like specifically like there's a lot of it that's taken out of the user's hands and placed into just a system that works on its own, right? So it's just like if shit wanted to go sideways, it could go sideways in a major way right now.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, I'm okay with IBM Watson and I'm okay with Amazon Web Services, Alexa and Siri. I'm
yeah,
okay with them.
uh,
I'm talking about some like iRobot shit.
Skynet.
Yeah, that's where a robot will be in your house and you'll try and leave and your robot is like, back up, sit the fuck down. And you can't do nothing about it because he's made of like fucking stainless steel.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got to
So, yeah.
kill switch though. You gotta just what is those EMP? You just set off one of those EMPs like they did in the Matrix, and you'd be all right. It's all good.
But now we got to buy EMPs, at home EMPs from Amazon, right? So now Jeff Bezos just gets richer. We're fucked.
Either way, we lose. So, anyways, Total Recall turns 30. Amazing that's the case. And I don't even acknowledge the remake of it. Let's just forget about that. That never happened. Let's just keep it with
the remake wasn't too bad.
It was terrible.
It wasn't too bad.
I actually did watch it, and it was god awful. It was terrible. It was terrible.
It was okay.
It didn't have the campiness of like it took itself too seriously,
Yeah.
where I think the first one, the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger, knew that it was kind of ridiculous and it kind of leaned into the ridiculousness of it. Whereas I think the one with Colin Farrell like took itself kind of seriously, and it just was not a good.
No, I think that's like the best way to put it. Definitely took itself too seriously.
Yeah.
They should have had a little bit more fun with that movie.
Yeah. Anywho, let's move forward with our next story here.